Well, hey guys, and welcome back to Hey It's a Good Life. Natalie here, and I'm so glad you're here because today I want to talk to you about dreaming, believing, and visualizing, and how you can use those things to heal and to dream. I've got my big hat on because we are out here in the afternoon sun and it is warm. Also, check out these new sunglasses I got. Ready for this? Check these bad boys out. Oh my gosh, the cats want to come outside. Somebody I know are ready to come outside. Oh man, aren't these sunglasses so cool? I got them at the dollar store. All right, now as cool as these sunglasses are, we have some things to talk about, and I'm here to connect with you so we can talk about those things and tend to the garden. So visualization is a really powerful tool. So visualization is a really powerful tool. And in fact, it's one of the tools I use to build this garden. Okay, so last time we were together, we sat right here and I shared with you how you can do a healing breath to heal your body and reach your dreams. Now I want to show you part 2. This is something you can add to your breath work or you can do completely separately. Either one are totally separate activities, but they're extraordinarily powerful when paired together. Now I want to share with you something really cool. In research done on cancer patients, when cancer patients use visualization when going through treatment for cancer, their outcome rates are significantly higher, even from things like stage 4 cancer. If you want more information on this, you can totally Google it, look into it yourself. It's really, really powerful stuff. And if you want a really great documentary, I recommend Heal on Netflix. It's a great, concise, super succinct overview of holistic healing. So if you're into that kind of thing like I am, I thought it was a really great documentary. Please go check it out. So this is one of the studies that they reference in that documentary, and I thought that was profound. Wow, visualizing the chemotherapy eating away at the tumor helped to decrease the tumor. That same line of thinking is something we can use in our lives to heal our bodies. Well, similar to how the cancer patients visualize the chemotherapy working away at the tumor to shrink it, we can do the same thing. So I'll use a very concrete example, like my own recovery process from a physical injury. So I have been struggling with kind of the psoas iliacus injury for a while. I am no longer struggling with that because I am using these techniques and I am healing so quickly. So I want to share with you how. So in recovering from the psoas iliacus injury, what I will do is I'll sit out here, I'll work on my breath work. Of course, I'll watch what I do. Of course, I'll ice. Of course, I'll do all these other things. But I'll sit out here, focus on my breath work, and I will picture what I think my muscles looked like when they were not healed. Maybe kind of like overstretched, maybe really tight, maybe kind of frayed. I kind of get a different picture every time I do it, but I think of that and I start to think of everything becoming closer together and smoother and more flexible and less rigid. Start to think of how I want my muscles to look and to feel inside my body. Start to breathe and I focus on that visualization. And that's pretty much it. You can use that technique for just about anything. You could use that for healing a wound, like let's say you get stitches and it's taking a while to heal, you can practice that and help your body heal itself. You can do that with a spine injury. One of the guys in the documentary in Heal talks about how he started to visualize each of his vertebrae that were totally crushed becoming healed again and how he actually healed his body using this technique. Now the thing that really gets me is why. Why does this work? How? What is the mechanism? This stuff gets me so excited and I have to be really careful not to nerd out and go on these huge tangents because they're huge topics. Like these are things that we could talk about for a long time. Like there is a lot of material that we could go over. But alas, I won't do that to you guys. We're gonna talk basics in my own verbiage and in my own way of explaining things. This is how I'm going to share with you why this works, how this works. When you're having pain, when you have an injury, your body is really distracted by that pain and that starts to become your reality. At least that has been my reality at different times. And so we start to focus on that reality and we kind of build this narrative around that reality like I'm sick, I'm injured, I'm sick, I'm injured, I'm in pain. And with that kind of comes this idea of believing. When you feel like you can't get out of those things, you start to believe that you're going to be stuck there forever, even if it's not true. Even if healing totally is possible for you, which it is. It's very easy to get sucked into this belief that healing is not possible. And this is where visualization becomes really key because that's how you you can bypass this belief issue. So when we visualize and when we believe, we activate new neural pathways. We're no longer running on those pathways that are so focused on the reality of the pain, that are so focused on the reality of the injury, that are so focused on what is concrete in front of us, distracting us. And what we start to do instead is we build new neural pathways that are connected to this belief of healing. And when we start to connect to this belief of healing, that it's possible for you, that it will happen, this is a possibility and a reality, we actually start to send healing agents to those bodies. Through the breath work, we actually open up capillaries and send good healing agents through the blood to those injured areas. Same thing with visualization. It's even more effective if we pair it with breathing, right? So same thing with visualization. If we are visualizing healing happening, our neural pathways start to connect with the healing properties of our body, and the body starts to heal itself. Really, really, really profound stuff. We start to bypass the neural pathways that say, this is broke, this is strained, this is sprained, this is painful, and we strengthen the neural pathways that say, healing is possible. Healing is coming. Healing is here. Healing is now. I am healed. And boom, things in your body start to align with that. Not only do you send healing agents through your blood, through your neurotransmitters, through the molecules in your body to those areas, you're sending healing energy and healing vibes, and you're changing your belief system. You're changing your belief system, and you're totally bypassing the old neural pathways to build a new one. Now, why is it so important to do this? This is so powerful. This is why in EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy, which is actually where I am headed tomorrow. I'm headed to San Francisco to finish up my EMDR training. This is why in EMDR, we ask, what are you feeling and believing right now? What would you prefer to feel and believe in the future? And essentially what we do is we work through the old trauma through the bilateral stimulation of the body, which we can talk about another time. We start to process through the trauma and then connect that person to how they would prefer to feel and believe. We start to connect that person to the feelings they would prefer to have about themselves and the beliefs that they would prefer to have as well. And we wire the new person to the new story. Is this starting to make sense? I really hope so. I've kind of alluded to it already. We've talked about physical healing and visualization. Let's talk about emotional or psychological healing with visualization. Now, with a physical injury, it's a little bit easier to visualize that, right? It's like, oh, okay, well, I tore my hamstring, or oh, okay, I have this cut. It might be a little trickier to identify the wounds that need to be worked through psychologically or emotionally. And then there's probably others of you who are like, oh my gosh, no, I know exactly what I need to work on. If you know what you need to work on, great. If you feel a little bit stuck, I would encourage you to sit with that. Sit with that feeling of being stuck and being like, I know I want to change, but I don't really know what I want to change. Some questions to ask yourself in that space are things like, how am I showing up in relationships? Where do I feel best and where do I feel worth? What's happening in those times where I feel worth? Am I constantly embarrassed or apologizing? Am I constantly making self-deprecating jokes or putting myself down? And if so, why might that be? When did that start? Was that how I learned to cope with feeling like I was a burden? These are the things that we need to wrestle with, and these are the things that are so worth fighting for and resolving so that you can live a wonderful, beautiful, vibrant, good life. Now, while I think EMDR is fantastic, if you are equipped to do that with a counselor, you can visualize how you want to show up in your life, and you can start to take action on that. And a really simple exercise that I do and that I encourage other people to do is kind of laying it on the altar. So when you identify those hurting areas, those ways that you don't want to engage with the world anymore, you can lay it on the altar. Perhaps that altar is somewhere in the garden. Perhaps it's a marble stone. Perhaps it's on a mountain. I'm not sure where it is for you. That's up to you to decide, but you get to lay that down and visualizing laying that down and saying, I no longer choose this. And then picking up the thing that you do want to choose, whatever that may be. Maybe it's moving from I'm a burden to I am worthy just as I am. In that case, you want to visualize, what does it look like? Unload that feeling of being a burden. Are you laying down weights? Are you laying down some version of yourself? Are you laying down a color? Like literally for every person, it's going to be different. It's up to you to decide. There is literally no right way to do it. But the more that you start to visualize what it looks like, you're better equipped to undo those old neural pathways. So get as specific as you can on what it looks like. And in the same vein, get as specific as you can about what you want the healing that you are receiving to look like. Get really, really, really specific, because the more specific you can get, the more neural pathways you are developing, the more you are firing and wiring connections to a new way of being. Firing and wiring new neural pathways and letting go of those old neural pathways are so similar to things in the garden and to things in farming. If you've ever walked down like an unpaved road, you know that if you stop going down that route, it's eventually going to become overgrown, and eventually you might not even know it's there. Now, the same can be said about a new path. So let's say we stop using A street and we start using B street. We make a B street in the woods, or we make a B street in the prairie or in the grass. You're going to start to notice tracks. You're going to start to notice this thing forming there. Same is true for plant. If there are certain parts of the plant that no longer serve it, it's eventually going to wither that part off, going to die away, and a new stem will form and new leaves will form. For most plants, at least. Now, here's my favorite part, is that out of that healing comes this newness and this ability to step into dreams and fulfillment of purpose. And so what I love about visualization is that you can use this to fuel your dreams. And just like we kind of talked about in healing from physical wounds and healing from emotional wounds, you can use visualization to fuel your dreams by getting really specific about what does it look like there? What does it feel like there? What does it sound like there? What does it taste like there? And the more neural pathways you can connect to this dream, the more you are firing and wiring new material to this dream. And the more you are priming your brain, your body, your mind, your heart, your soul to take action. It's like you're priming yourself to take action on the dream. And you know what I think about visualizing all of this stuff? I think it connects us to the truest reality. While it might be true that we encounter pain and suffering and trauma and wounds in this reality, it's really easy to get sucked up into that and to think like, this is it. This is all there is. This is how it's going to be forever. But when we choose to dream and believe and to visualize something different, we're connecting with something that's way more true than our pain and our suffering. In some ways, I kind of feel like seed packets are a great metaphor for visualization, for healing and dreaming, because we look at a seed packet and we go, oh, this little thing in here that looks like nothing right now is going to become that if I just tend to it. And so that little seed packet with the perfect, beautiful fruit or flowers or whatever it may be helps us hold out hope, because we look at it and we go, oh, I really want that beautiful zinnia, or I really want that gorgeous squash, whatever it may be. And so then we're primed. We've seen the vision, and then we go after it. We can do that with ourselves. We can do that to heal our bodies, to heal our hearts, and to pursue our dreams. I just think that's really neat. It's my belief that heaven and healing aren't so far away, and that they're really here and now. In some essence, there is an alternative reality, a much truer, long-lasting reality that's available to us here and now. My belief that heaven and healing aren't so far away. It's up to us to tap into that and to choose to believe even though it's not seen. Guys, I want to know what you're thinking. Is this sounding interesting to you? Have you heard of this? Have you practiced this? Or are you like, oh my gosh, I need to do this right away? Let me know in the comments down below. I am working on generating some content that would be helpful and impactful to help you guys on your healing and dreaming process. So let me know. The more consistent you can be with it, the better, because as you can see, it's really about firing these new neural pathways. It's really about tapping into belief and choosing to step into the reality of the unseen, even if it's not there yet. And so there is power in practice. There is so much power in practice. Practice these things. And the more you practice, the more they become second nature, like muscle memory. And then it's just there and you can tap into it whenever you need it. The thing is, we love to sabotage ourselves. We love to get distracted and to be inconsistent. And it's so key with these things to be as consistent as possible. I'm not asking for perfection, and you don't need to hold yourself to that standard either. But how often can you do it? Can you give it your best effort to be consistent? And I think structure helps with that. So I'm working on creating some structure for you guys. If you're interested in that, definitely leave me a comment down below. And please connect with me on Instagram. It's way easier to connect on there. But as those resources are getting designed and becoming available, join my Healing and Dreaming book club. I would love to have you there as we talk about these things of how do we heal, how do we dream, how do we live our good life. You so desperately know what it's like to feel like healing is impossible. And I so desperately know what it's like to feel like your dreams are impossible. But I hope that this garden And what we're doing here is an encouragement to you that healing and dreams can become reality. The fact that I was so injured last fall that I couldn't sit, walk, or stand, and now look at me. I'm walking, I'm standing, I'm gardening. Is it perfect? Do I still have some flare-ups of pain? Yes. Am I using visualization and breath work and believing and prayer and community to my full advantage? Absolutely. It's a journey, it's a process, but I believe that healing is here and now for me, and I believe the same for my dreams, and I believe those things for you too. So I hope that my life can be a little bit of a testimony for those of you who feel a little bit stuck. I want to assure you, if you can do nothing else, breathe. If you can move past that, visualize. And I'm going to keep equipping you guys with stuff that you can use on your own, to your heart's content, to your heart's full desire, to help you guys heal and dream. All right, well, that's it for me today, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. The next time I see you will be in San Francisco, finishing up my EMDR training. I'm super pumped to be done with that. I'm also excited to take you guys along for the ride to San Francisco. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.